We have heard that, 90% support certain things that are included. I can't help but wonder anytime I hear those kind of numbers of support, just exactly what people were asked. For example, on red flag laws, most people don't understand what red flag laws are. But if you explain to them that that would include things like we saw during the Obama-Biden administration, when the VA was instructed to inquire of veterans who pays their bills, and if the response is a spouse or someone else, like in my case, I'm married to someone with an MBA in accounting, she pays most of the bills. If I say, well, my wife pays most of the bills, I pay some, then that during the Obama-Biden administration was adequate to note in the records and become a red flag that would prevent me from being able to buy a gun, because the presumption of that red flag order was that if you're not paying your own bills, you're not mentally competent enough to have a gun. And so when people started finding out that was going on, they got rather upset. And I'm sure that included people that if you had asked would said, yeah, I'm okay with red flag laws. I think it's a good idea. High time we do that, until they had bureaucrats determine whether or not they were entitled to a Second Amendment right. It's real important when we start using percentages of support that we make sure that people knew what they were doing, knew what they were saying. I think this is a good amendment, well-reasoned, well thought out. And I understand we just had a shooting, but I go back to the founders who did something that no one else had ever done in the founding of a country, when they included the language like all men were created equal, generically speaking, and the original Declaration of Independence included, I think the longest grievance was how bad slavery was. You don't have founding documents in any other country where the founders admitted that things were not as they should be, and that something that was part of the country at its founding, like slavery, was wrong and bad and harmful to the country. These people were admitting in what they signed that there were problems. Now, there were people that defeated that or had that provision struck, but to say all were equal in that document, this is an incredible country. So when Thomas Jefferson, who put that grievance in there and put in the part about people being equal, knowing that at that time they were not, it was aspirational and admittance that something wasn't right. That's a pretty profound country, and that's what we have. But it has become so political that, you know, now we're being urged to pass constitutionally questionable, if not outright unconstitutional provisions, because we're in a hurry that we got to do something. And I know there are a lot of politicians that feel that way. Rahm Emanuel's famous line that we shouldn't let a good crisis go to waste, or saying that about Democrats, is still holding true. We're having a crisis, but especially now, when there's been a crisis, when we've had tragedy, it's even more important that we use God's name, those of us that believe in the power of prayer, to ask for guidance instead of trying to shove guidance from Mount Olympus in DC down the throats of people that don't know what's coming. And with that, I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. For what purpose does Mr. Biggs seek recognition?